guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today we're going to be doing my November favorites, and I've said this before, but my favorites videos are actually some of my favorite videos to film just because they're so nice and casual and laid back, and I absolutely just love being able to talk about my passions that include makeup but also go into books and movies and songs and fashion, just because I could literally talk about that stuff all day. I love being able to share that piece of myself with you guys and kind of get some referrals back from you and kind of hear what you guys are liking, and it's just kind of nice. It feels a little bit more conversational, and I love to be able to take this opportunity to do that with you guys. So anyways, without further ado, if you're interested in seeing what I have been loving for the month of November, then just keep watching. So my first favorite of the month is actually something that I don't think I've ever shared in my videos before, and it's shampoo and conditioner. I'm not the kind of person who, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I really don't care about shampoo and conditioner. I will buy it from the drugstore, the grocery store. Whatever does the job is what I like, but recently I saw a commercial for the Tresemme volumizing shampoo and conditioner, and I wanted to give it a try, and I did, and I loved it so much. It smelled so good. It was one of the only shampoos that, you know, whenever you leave the shower, you can actually still smell it in your hair. I have the kind of hair where I don't know why, no matter how much I clean my hair, it just never has like the smell of the shampoo. It smells clean, but it doesn't have like maintain the scent of the shampoo. And so I've been trying to find something that does that, and this one was volumizing, and I want to kind of add as much volume to my hair as possible just because I'm lazy and don't always want to style it. And unfortunately, I had like a horrible allergic reaction to it, and I know it was this because I tried it again like 2 months later just to try and see if it was, because I was hoping it wasn't, and just my luck, I had to stop using it because I was breaking out in hives all over my back, and you know, it's just good smelling hair is not worth it. So with that being said, I decided to go to Ulta to try and find a volumizing alternative, and so I came across the Joico Body Luxe shampoo, and I decided to do a different one for conditioner just so we can kind of get, you know, the best of both worlds up in here. And so I decided to get the Moisture Recovery Conditioner, and I usually get the smaller size just because I'm a cheapskate, you know, but they only had the largest size in the moisturizing conditioner the most recent time I was there, so I just got this, and it'll last me a long time. And I like to alternate between this and the drugstore one just so I'm not going through money that fast because I can't afford it. But these are really nice. I actually find that these have a nice scent to my hair afterwards. It's nice and subtle. It's nothing too overpowering. They do smell different from each other, which I kind of like. I would probably describe the shampoo as maybe like a sea breeze sort of scent. And then the conditioner is kind of like clean laundry, if that makes sense. You know, they're both quite similar, but they're still slightly different, so in case you care about that, just thought I'd let you know. But I have been loving these, and they're really nice for my hair. My hair feels really good. And the good thing I like about the shampoo as well is whenever I did run out of the conditioner before, I was using just the shampoo, and my hair, even though it would be slightly tangled, it still had so much volume to it. So I really liked that, and that definitely made it nicer because I didn't have to worry about styling it because I'm too lazy to do that, so it kind of just took care of it for me. Speaking of showering and wet hair, I decided to get a wet brush because I am not the kind of person to do anything to my hair once I get out of the shower. I never use a blow dryer or anything like that because I'm just lazy. Like I don't want to spend my time doing that. And yes, that would add more volume to my hair, but I just don't want to, so I don't. But there have been a few times recently because of the month of October, like having to film multiple looks in one day. I'd have to get in the shower and then wash it off and then go film another thing. So with that, I need to be able to brush my hair out quickly. And there's a lot of studies saying that you shouldn't brush your hair when it's wet just because that typically damages it more. So I decided to try and get a brush that I think would help with it. And I was in Ross one day. I wasn't even intentionally looking for it, and I came across the wet brush, and they sell this in Ulta. This was so popular, I would say about 2 years ago. Like everybody and their mother was getting it, and I still think a lot of people like it, and for good reason. This actually detangles my hair, which I know sounds silly, but it's so smooth. Like you're not hacking through your hair, it literally just glides through and detangles it. So I'm just really excited to see how this works next summer, because I know whenever you swim and you get chlorine in your hair, it is so tangled, more so than when you actually take a shower. So I really love this. If you guys have been on the edge edge or on the fence of getting a wet brush, I would highly recommend it. My next favorite is something that I have literally been using multiple times a day, every single day for the month of November, and that is the Bath & Body Works Holiday Traditions Twisted Peppermint Body Spray. I love this so much. I've just been trying to push myself into the Christmas spirit. Not that it's been hard or anything, but just because, you know, October was so stressful, I really just wanted that kind of laid back, relaxed, joyful feeling to come back. And so I've just been spraying it every single day since I got out of the Halloween mode, just because I've just been wanting to relax and feel clean. And so I'll spray it on myself before I go to bed, just because I don't have the lotion yet. I'm actually going out tomorrow to pick some up because I would love some of that. And so it's really nice. It's just so sweet and refreshing. It definitely is one of those scents that, you know, you literally smell like a candy cane, so you might not always want to wear it out in public, maybe for like a Christmas party or something like that, but you literally smell like a candy cane, so it's kind of up to you. But I personally like to wear it when I know I'm home, and it's more for the reason that I don't have the lotion, but I'm able to just like smell it on myself, and it's just comforting. I'll spray it right before bed, and that just kind of is like soothing. I don't know, am I sounding weird? I feel like it's a little weird, but it just smells so nice and comforting. It feels like Christmas, and Christmas in an essence is just a warm blanket, and I like to take advantage of that as much as possible. So next we're going to be moving on to my book favorites, and this is the first time I've been able to read since July, which for me is insane, but it makes sense just because through August, through the middle of November, it's just absolutely insanity. And so the fact that I was able to actually find time to read again was so nice, and I can't express enough how much it means to me when I'm able to take that time for myself to be able to sit down and read. And I have quite a few book favorites for the month because I just would go straight through them because I'm enjoying the stories so much. So I believe every single book I read this month is actually in the favorites, but for good reason. I recommend them to you guys. So anyways, the first book favorite of the month is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the sequel to Caraval. Now, let me just give a little bit of a backstory to this essentially. So I read Caraval last summer when it first came out, fell in love with it, so good. The ending was a little bit weirder than I was expecting, but definitely didn't take away from loving the story as a whole. And I thought that that was a standalone book. I didn't know that that was part of a trilogy. And then all of a sudden this summer comes around and I see this book sitting on the shelf, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's a sequel, that's so cool. And so I pick it up and I start to read it, and I start getting very confused before I realize that this is now from the sister's perspective and from the character from the first book's perspective. So I'm slightly confused by that, but I go through it. I actually think I ended up liking this book more. I just absolutely loved the storytelling and the plot for this book. I really enjoyed it, and I felt like the world building was nice. And once again, I thought, because I'm like, oh, it's the sister's perspective, they're just gonna wrap up the whole thing now. Then is when I find out that it's a trilogy. I thought once again everything was gonna be wrapped up in this book. So it's the kind of book series that you think you can just be done, but there's actually so much more to it, which for me is kind of confusing because I feel like it's wrapped up. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a really interesting, like halfway through the book I thought that they were gonna be able to wrap up the entire story in this book, but no, there's gonna be another one, which I'm not complaining because these books are gorgeous. I love the storytelling. I just get confused because I think it's gonna be over and then there's more, and my body just wasn't prepared for it. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed Caraval, you're most likely going to like Legendary as well. Like I said, I personally preferred Legendary over Caraval. Caraval was still gorgeous and beautiful, but with what I can remember, I actually think I like this one more from reading it and just having my memory of Caraval. I'm really excited to see what the third one entails, but not gonna lie, I can't give you much information about this book in particular just because it is a sequel, so I can't say anything without potentially ruining the first book for you guys, so you're just gonna have to read both and let me know what you think. Anyways, the second book I read this month that is also in my favorites is The Traitor's Ruin by Erin Beaty. I believe I read the first one, I want to say it was like last August or September, and I was absolutely in love with it. And a lot like Legendary, once again, I thought that the first book was the standalone, and then all of a sudden I came across this in Barnes & Noble, and I'm just thrown off guard because the first one I feel like was wrapped up. I actually felt like it was a nice full story, but there's a second one, and there's actually going to be a third coming out next summer, which once again, these are the pleasant surprises that I enjoy whenever you think it's done, but it's such good storytelling that you just get more. I personally, it's like so heartbreaking when you read a book and it's so amazing and you're looking for the sequel and it was a standalone book and you just want to cry yourself to sleep. But much like Legendary, I can't talk a lot about this book simply because it is a sequel, so I don't want to give anything away regarding the first book, but it is an amazing story about fantasy and romance and politics. This one I do believe was kind of the informative book of the trilogy, I would say, because the first one had so much action and plot twists and build-ups, and I loved it so much. The very first book had such a unique introduction because they're playing off a character who is not who they seem, and I really enjoyed that kind of twist to it. And so that one had so much action and plot to it, and this one was definitely giving you more information about the history and regarding the other territories in this world, and so that was really nice. It was really informative, but I would definitely say I definitely like the first one better still, just because I like when things are happening. I like having like the little bits of information, but I don't want too much of that. This one definitely gave you a lot of information to look at, but once again, it's because it's going into the final book, which is probably gonna have a lot to do with all of these worlds, which you needed to know about, so it makes a lot of sense. So anyways, if you are interested in checking out Traitor's Ruin, I highly recommend it, but don't forget that the first book in the series is called The Traitor's Kiss, which I highly recommend. And my third and final book favorite of the month is called Kiss of the Royal by Lindsey Duga. So dramatic. I cannot say enough good things about this book. I am absolutely amazed by this book. This, in my ranking of how much I love books, first of all, for a standalone book, I kind of rank those differently than series, because series have so much going on in them that, you know, I kind of have like their own section going on. But in regards to a standalone book, this is tied with To Kill a Kingdom, which To Kill a Kingdom for me was my #1 standalone book because it was just so enthralling and I loved absolutely everything about it, and this is now officially tied with it. And I was incredibly surprised by this book. I read the summary for this one in Barnes & Noble one day. It was just completely random, and I was very on the fence with it. There wasn't anything that was screaming at me that this is unique or special. And the other thing is, this came out in early 2018, and that's when I got it, and it was a paperback. And normally books, for the first year they come out, they are only available in hardcover. This one doesn't even have a hardcover available. It is only paperback, which is, now that I read the book, so shocking to me because it doesn't make any sense. This is such an amazing book. But once again, I didn't read reviews on it. I was just very on the fence. The back part, it's just very vague and you don't know what you're getting into. You really don't know, and for me that's kind of worrisome because you'll get a really vague book and then it ends up being a pretty bland story, and I hate that because then I feel like I wasted time. So with this one, I just decided to go ahead and take the risk, and I decided to get it, and I read it and I finished it in 2 days, and oh my gosh, I cannot say enough good things about it. So the way I would describe it is it takes a very cheesy book trope, which would be like True Love's Kiss and all of that stuff, and it completely turns it on its head. So to give you a quick summary of what this book is about, just to kind of give you more detail than, you know, what the summary might actually tell you, is the book is about overcoming obstacles and becoming your true self. Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, you start off, you have your main character, her name is Ivy. Basically, in the kingdom she lives in, they don't believe in love because love makes absolutely no sense. It is illogical. They believe in lust and they believe in familial bonds, but they don't believe in love because that just doesn't make sense. There's nothing scientific about love, and they just don't understand that whole idea, and that could offer a weakness to a person, so they just don't believe in it. They don't practice it. There's no such thing as marriage. And so basically in their kingdom there are, you know, obviously forces of darkness that they have to destroy and stuff to protect the villagers and protect the castle castle. And in this, basically half the population is princes and princesses because they're bred that way. Because when you're a prince or a princess, you are born with magic, and that magic can help defeat the dragons, but only when activated by a kiss from another prince or princess. So typically how it goes, you kiss, boy fights, girls using magic to protect the boy who's fighting, and it kind of just goes like that, and you know, protect people, hippie, hooray. So every prince and princess is basically paired off with another prince or princess, and they are partners. And when you're partners, that basically means that the girl's kiss activates the boy's magic, like that, all that fun stuff. And so through that, our main character, Princess Ivy, has gone through 5 princes and they've all died. Now basically what the princess is supposed to be able to do is be able to kiss whoever is injured, and it's supposed to either like lift a curse, heal them, like they're literally magic kisses, and so it doesn't always have to be on the lips. It could be like on a forehead. So like if you have like a child who has a fever, you could like, and then they're like, oh yay, and it's good stuff. But even though she's from the direct bloodline, her kiss isn't able to fully heal them and they end up passing on. But because the dark forces are getting even stronger, there actually is going to be a giant bad guy that they're going to need to be able to kill. So for that mission, she needs to be able to be paired off with a new partner because her kisses are the strongest, and so that is basically the only thing that is going to be able to stop this curse. So they decide to bring in good old Zacky boy from the kingdom of Sevala. So even though he's from Sevala and that is where he's been training, he is actually not officially born in Sevala. He is actually from Romantica. And in Romantica, they are called heretics because they believe in love. So the biggest problem that they're encountering throughout this entire story is, I mean, you would possibly guess that Ivy and Zach would end up becoming partners, but the problem is Zach won't let good old Ivy kiss him to use the powers because he doesn't believe that kisses should be weapons. That sounds cheesy, I know, but they literally turn any part that you think is cheesy, like they'll be leading up to a cheesy part and you're just like, oh, don't do it to me, don't do it to me, because I hate when books are cheesy. So just know that going into this, I hate when books are cheesy, and right when you think it's gonna be cheesy, it's not. Like, it's just not, and I love it so much. They just turn it on its head. It's the complete opposite of what you would expect it to be, or they're incredibly self-aware, and if you think it's gonna be cheesy, they're admitting that it's cheesy, so I appreciate that. And like I said before, I don't really like when it's kind of like just a deposition of information that they give you. So the way that Lindsey bled the information into the storyline was so entertaining, and I absolutely loved it because it was so natural and it didn't take away from the story. It added to it and built from it without being boring or just too informative. Like, it actually just worked, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But anyways, I loved this so much. I'm so bummed that is only a standalone book, but it is absolutely amazing. It's breathtaking. The world building, the character design, it's a nice slow burning romance, which I love because I hate when things just happen instantly and you're kind of like, what now, Chris? Like, what you talking about? So if you guys are looking for a nice book to read over the holidays, just something to kind of fill in all of the, you know, action, romance, comedy kind of look that you're going for, then I would definitely recommend Kiss of the Royal. Whew. Okay, so that was it for my book favorites. I'm sorry that I rambled on for the last one a little bit. I feel like I don't actually give you guys any information on the book itself, which is something that I personally want to try to change, just so you guys kind of at least know what the book is about without having to look it up yourself. But once again, if it's a sequel, I'm not really going to be able to do that just because I don't want to spoil anything. But if it's the first book of a series or a standalone book, then I definitely kind of want to be able to start integrating more information about it, just so you guys at least kind of know what it's about. So anyways, now we're going to be moving on to my movie favorites for the month. These two are the last favorites for the month of November, and the first one is the movie called Only the Brave. So this movie is definitely incredibly emotional. It is a drama, and I was just on the couch one day, I was editing, and my dad turned the TV on, and it was the beginning of this movie, and immediately the first scene that there is, it's a forest fire, and all of a sudden you see a fiery bear running, and lo and behold, Josh Brolin wakes up from a nightmare. And so I love Josh Brolin. I think he's an amazing actor. So I decided to set the laptop aside and watch the movie. And I ended up finding out that it was based off of a true story. And it was incredibly heartbreaking, especially with all of the California wildfires going on. It definitely gave a lot more perspective to the situation. It's heartbreaking because I never heard about this story on the news or at any given point in time. And so throughout the entire movie, I'm kind of thinking like, oh, like I think like this, you know, given the situation, like it's gonna be this person or whatever, you know, something like that, where it's gonna be like, oh, it's just gonna be one or something like that. And then you watch the movie, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but like definitely hit harder than I was expecting. And I am just very appreciative for everybody in the force to protect us, whether it be from wildfires, from criminals, or overseas. I'm very appreciative of that, and I'm appreciative to Hollywood for being able to kind of bring that to life and give it some perspective. Even if it's dramatized in some ways, it is bringing a story to life that I would not have heard of unless I saw this movie. So I'm very grateful that I got to see it. And if you guys are looking for a movie that maybe you haven't seen yet, that you want to be kind of impactful and definitely have a box of tissues next to you, then I would definitely recommend Only the Brave. And the last favorite for the month is a little bit cheesier, but I love this so much. So I personally never saw this in theaters. I saw it once years ago, like a few years after it came out actually, and it was on the television recently, and when it came on, I just fell in love with it. I don't think I paid that much attention the first time I saw it, and this time I just was absolutely obsessed with it. And it's mostly because I love the actor who plays the prince, but it was the live action Disney Cinderella movie, and it is so amazing. I love Richard Madden so much. He's amazing in Game of Thrones, and also what I mentioned in my October favorites, The Bodyguard, which is on Netflix. He's just such an amazing actor, and he really actually gave the prince a personality, which you don't get in the cartoon version. And Lily James is just so talented and beautiful, and once again I kind of got to appreciate the movie in a way that I didn't appreciate it the first time, and I loved it so much. So if you guys haven't seen that one yet, absolutely amazing. It's so funny to compare that to the live action Beauty and the Beast because they're so completely different, where I feel like Cinderella actually took the story and kind of changed it a little bit and gave way more detail. I feel like Beauty and the Beast didn't do that so much. It gave a little bit more backstory to Belle's mom, but it was just overly saturated and auto-tune, which wasn't necessary because Emma Watson does have a beautiful voice. Whether it was exactly what they were looking for or not, they didn't need to auto-tune it that much. Like, I've heard her sing, it's not bad, so I just don't get why they had it. Anyways, I got off topic. But live action Cinderella is amazing. So if you guys enjoy any of these favorites, please let me know in the comments. I like when we kind of share common interests. Let me know if you've read any of the books or seen any of the movies, because I, once again, love when we can connect on this stuff. Or if you didn't like it, tell me why. Give me your thoughts. I would love to hear them. So anyways, with all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!